You have entered the Command Zone, your destination for all aspects of Elder Dragon Highlander. Enjoy your stay.
What's up, everybody? You're watching / listening to the Command Zone podcast. I'm one of your lovely hosts today, Jimmy Wong.
And I'm your other host, Rachel Weeks.
How exciting. We had a lot of love for how to play red that we're bringing it right back with how to play white. And this time with the queen of white herself. You played white so many times now on extra turns, on game nights, I think, as well.
It's my favorite monocolor by a long way.
Yeah, you know, I have a massive love for mono red. You have a massive love for mono white. How many mono white decks have you built in your life?
3?
Wow, that's more than me.
Pretty good. I have 2 right now.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I think there's no one better qualified to deal and tell you in the world how to play white than you. But before we get into it, Rachel, we got to talk about our sponsors.
We do. You can support the show and pick up some sweet, sweet cards over at cardkingdom.com/command.
Bingo.
Card Kingdom has a great selection of Magic cards, especially when I'm buying a new deck. I like to add everything I can to one cart, add it to cart, ship it, so it shows up in one safe package on my doorstep. I'm not chasing down envelopes and being like, where did that card go? I could have sworn I bought it 3 weeks ago. Card Kingdom, we trust to get the cards that we're looking for in our decks to us on time and safely. Plus, if something goes wrong, they have great customer service to take care of you and your Magic cards. Again, support the show and your growing Magic habit with cardkingdom.com.
Or declining, really. It can be going any direction.
That's true.
You still need to go to cardkingdom.com/command. Well, regardless of what direction your collection is trending, you got to make sure your cards are protected as well at ULTRAPRO.com/command. ULTRAPRO has been the sponsor of this show for many years now, and we obviously trust them to keep our cards safe. We love their playmats. We love all of their accessories, their deck boxes, dice, binders, you name it. ULTRAPRO has it. So when it comes to customizing your collection and making it feel and look exactly how you want it to, ULTRAPRO.com/command is a great way to do it. They have great sales on their site all the time, as well as just all the new art, whether it's a Secret Lair art or the Lord of the Rings stuff or anything, right, that pops up. You will be able to find it on ultrapro.com/command. And you know, if you can't find it on the website, just getting it from your local game store or a big box retailer is another way to support the show, because they are across all our content and we love them quite a bit. ultrapro.com/command.
The final way to support us is directly over at patreon.com/commandzone. Joining our Patreon is a great way to make sure that this content is the content that you want. Make sure it's growing and cooler every single time.
Yeah.
Plus, you get cool perks where you get to see extra turns and game nights a day early. You get to catch those little mistakes and be like, hey guys,
yeah, it's happened many times
before
now.
this goes out to the public, you should.
There's an editing error here. Something was wrong. There was a sound glitch, whatever. Yeah, it's happened plenty of times. You also get access to our Discord,
Ton of fun.
where Rachel, Josh, myself, and other members of the staff here are in there answering questions. It's also just a great community to just spitball ideas and get ideas for your deck, as well as the pre-cons. There's always a great conversation going on. And we shout out one lucky patron every episode. So this episode is dedicated to Dexter Ancheta.
Thank you, Dexter.
You rock.
All
Okay.
right, let's get into it. Today we are talking about the fairest color in the color pie, the least broken. It's white. So there's a lot that I wanted to talk about white today, but first I want to just talk about the color pie, because when you're a commander deck builder, everything is based on the color pie, and having a firm command on commander deck building is having a firm grasp on the color pie in general.
Yeah, how it works with other colors, how you get it to do what you want, its ups and downs, and just really making it work the best for you, right?
Yeah, making sure that you're using a color for the things it's good at, and you're relying on other colors for things that they're good at. That's why Commander's neat, is because you get to see all of the colors work in tandem.
Nice.
So we're going to talk a little bit more about the white color identity, a little bit more about white card design. And I think it's interesting because we talked about red, which has a very clear color identity, right?
Yes.
Red is emotional and fast. It works with its gut. It's
smack them, hit them hard.
It's also just like fire and lightning, and it's all very clear. White is a little bit more ambiguous.
Yeah, absolutely.
White deals with these sort of more amorphous concepts of like religion and civilization,
unity,
and also like altruism and heroism, which can be a little less clear. Like obviously white has angels and it has like soldiers, but what does that mean for like white mechanically.
Right.
And I honestly think it's easiest to think about white and just comparing it to the things it isn't. Talking about the opposite of white. So we're going to start by talking about the enemy pairs.
Right. So the enemy pairs are black and red. If you look on the back of a Magic card, you'll see that they're across from white in the 5 group of colors. So let's talk about white and black first. This is the most obvious enemy pairing. It's the opposite colors.
Right. I mean, if we talk about black and white being like white is good and black is evil, but it's not necessarily that simple. There's been a lot of like white villains.
Yeah. It's kind of like, have you ever seen those videos where it's like explaining a very complicated concept to a 2-year-old, then a 5-year-old, then a 10-year-old, and a college student?
Yeah.
Saying white is good and black is evil is like talking to a 2-year-old about the color pie. So let's get a little deeper now. Let's talk to a college student / Magic player about it.
So black is greedy and it's ambitious, right? Black seeks power and like it wants it and will give anything to get it.
Your life, your creatures, it'll kill things to get it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good at killing creatures and utilizing that for like ultimate cosmic power is black. And white is just the opposite. It's collaborative and it believes that the more you have, the better that you can be, right? It's more selfless. So it works with gaining life and creating creatures. And
creating, not destroying.
Right.
Making your creatures stronger and not minusing them all. Yeah.
Right.
Protection for sure.
Yeah, so and white's about sort of the more things you have, especially the small things, the more powerful you are. It rewards you for synergy and for having a large board. Where black is like broken and can be like, I'll pay 10 life to
draw 10 cards.
White is fair and like relies on putting one thing down at a time. It's building civilization, not building the self.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
So,
makes a lot of sense. I'm sure a lot of you have cards running through your heads about, oh yeah, black does do that and white does not.
Right, yeah.
You will not find Viscera Seer in white.
No.
Or Necropotence, for that matter.
So the other enemy pair for white is red. And we've talked a lot about red already. Like red is emotional and it works with its gut. And it'll like crash into battle without really thinking about it, right? Red likes to burn a lot of cards to do direct damage. And white is more sensible. It's more calculated. It's more coordinated than red. It works efficiently. Like white creatures and removal spells are cheap.
Right.
But they don't usually have haste. They don't usually they're just sort of good for what they are, but they're small.
Right.
White's like takes its time and it really waits for the right moment to strike.
Yeah. I was going to say, you'll see it in creature types, too. Red has, like, little goblins that want to goblin bombardment themselves and run in and swing. White is like, we're making some soldiers, and they're chilling.
Yeah, and they're, like, buffing each other. Like, soldiers are very synergistic, where goblins are synergistic as well. But it's usually, like, sack a goblin to get 2 goblins.
Yeah.
You're like, how does that even... Why does that work for you guys?
Yeah, I love that.
White, like, so where red is like hasty and eager, red is more patient. White is more patient, and thoughtful.
Yeah, so white is fair. We've said that a couple of times now. Sounds kind of boring.
It does, right? Like you're like white's peaceful and balanced, and like Commander is all about
yawn. I want to do busted, broken things.
So here's what I like about white, because like Commander's about doing these big broken things. But the reason that I like white is because it's efficient, right? It's smart. It uses energy and cards like a well-oiled machine. It doesn't burn a ton of cards or burn a ton of life like black or like red does. It uses each card to its fullest and builds sort of synergistically, more like a machine. I picture white
more like a mother of machines, you mean?
I picture white like an endurance runner. Like where red is a sprinter, white is like, I am in better shape. I will outrace you, and it is patient in that way.
Yeah, given enough time, white knows they can win the long battle because they have a lot of things that help them with it. Life gain, bigger board states, board wipes to reset the board, efficient removal, all that good stuff.
It's grindy.
But they're not trying to sit there and go fling a creature at you for 40 damage. That's not what white's trying to do.
It's going to hit you for 6
and
every single turn.
Sometimes
until you
in
die.
the air until you die, yeah. And it's going to be an angel, and it's going to make all the other cards have +1/+1 each time, and yeah.
I really like white because it's a very healthy deck building style.
Yeah.
Like it means that
Healthy, nice.
you know what I mean? Like you have to have all of the ramp, and you have to have extra card draw, and it's very like you have to use these cards correctly. Like you have to go in for chip damage. It's hard to play white well. Where it just doesn't do the work for you. So it kind of feels like when you win with mono white against a deck that feels more broken or feels more powerful.
Yeah.
It feels like a very David versus Goliath situation.
Yeah,
where you're like, I should not have won, but I did it.
Yeah, and it was because of your own endurance and capability and handling and strategic maneuvering that you got there, as opposed to sometimes when it's like necropotents draw 15 cards, I got my win con, I win, right?
Right, yeah.
So that makes a lot of sense. I guess
I get more satisfaction out of playing white because
sure.
it feels like I've really been working for it, or I really played smart.
Right. And to each their own. I've just bagged a lot on black, it seems, but again, each play style appeals to different people, and white has one that is less so on the busted, nasty, broken side. Although it can do nasty, broken things, you just have to get there. You have to build the thing to make it work.
So let's talk about it, because let's talk about what white does in Commander, what it does well. We spent a lot of time talking about how bad it is.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what does it do in Commander? It gets bagged on.
It gets bagged on. It's a punching bag.
But white does a lot of the most, and we talked about white from the beginning of this show, and Josh and I would always talk about how important board wipes were and stuff. So white does all of the really important things, except for a couple of specific ones. But other than that, it really does, I think, over-deliver in certain areas.
Yeah, I mean, the interesting thing about white is we've always said it's low on ramp and it's low on card draw, but it is really good at the things it's really good at, and it's good at a lot.
Yeah. When we were going through this list, I was like, wow, this is getting longer and longer and longer. Yeah.
It's long, but it's also these are the things that white does these especially well, and it starts with removal.
Yep. So the most efficient removal in the game belongs to white. Swords to Plowshares, Path to Exile. It also fits with the theme, giving them a land or life, right?
Balance.
But those cards are just absolute staples of the format, and white is the only one that has it to that degree, and specifically exile effects too. And I think that's a lot more important because black will destroy most often, red will kill with damage, but white is one of the few ones that has just tons of exile effects. And I think that really edges it above a lot of other removal colors because it's gone. That card is not going to come back any which way or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, white also has just a lot of efficient ways to kill things. Like Darksteel Mutation is one of the best ways to permanently get rid of a commander in this game.
Right? Yeah.
Where it's like, you are a bug and you will stay a bug.
Yeah, exactly.
But it also, white has this very cheap targeted creature removal, but it also has more flexible removal. Removal spells that hit anything.
Yeah. Generous Gift. I think every color has one of these. It kills something and makes a thing for the person. But that is any permanent, right? Red cannot do this, except for Chaos War. Well, we'll talk about that. Not in this episode.
Generous Gift is powerful because it hits anything. There's a new one that came out that I think is honestly better than Generous Gift, especially in more casual pods, and it's Excise the Imperfect. Have you seen this one?
No.
It's 1 white for an instant. It's exile target non-land permanent, so it doesn't hit lands, but it exiles. Its controller incubates X, where X is its mana value.
Okay, so you give them a low token that they can make into a creature, but you are exiling a non-land permanent for 3 mana.
It is gone, and it is still at instant speed, so I like that a lot.
Yeah, that's really good. There's also a classic favorite, which is Grasp of Fate, and this is something that comes in and does the equalizing thing, right? You get to choose 3 different things across the board in the 4-player game and get rid of them, tuck them under an enchantment removal, and there's a lot of that in white as well. I would also say white's really good at repeatable removal.
Yeah, I think this is where white's removal really shines, is ETB permanent base removal. Right. So that's Cathar Commando, that's Skyclave Apparition. Even, we've talked about it before, but Angel of the Ruins is one of my favorite Magic cards.
If you watch After Turns with this card, it just comes down and everyone's like, uh-oh, game is completely different now that Angel of the Ruins and Flicker abilities exist.
Yeah, it's a 5/7 that exiles up to 2 artifacts and enchantments. It just solves problems. Oh, and it keeps people from running away with the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Lauren of the Third Path, I love as well. Again, ETB effects means that you can pair it up with something else and it becomes repeatable removal. Everyone might remember Josh played Elish Norn, And wow, you want to talk about absolutely dominating the board with repeatable and effective removal? That is exactly it with that deck.
Just about all of these would be on that list.
Yeah.
One of my favorite white cards recently has been Aerial Extortionist. It's ETB, exile something. They can recast it, but they still have to recast it.
Okay.
And then whenever a player casts a spell from anywhere other than their hand, you draw a card.
Oh.
So it's ETB and damage removal plus
Card
your
draw
card
occasionally.
draw.
Yeah.
It's 5 mana, but that's exactly what white wants to do, is
Yeah.
buy time and get a little value in the meantime.
Yeah, I think a lot of people usually look down on like, oh, they can just cast it again, or like, oh, they can cast it again, but it costs 3 more this time. That sometimes can mean removal for the rest of the game.
Yeah, next turn.
Yeah, and they'll
Sometimes
go,
it can feel like a time walk.
yeah, totally. Well, the person will go like, well, at this point, I don't want to cast this anymore. I don't need it.
Right.
So you essentially just got rid of it, right?
Right. It's too slow for me to cast Guardian Project again. And
Yeah.
then rebuild
I
my
need
board.
to do something else. The board state has changed. And sometimes, I mean, so many times in games, one turn passes by and you're like, wow, this is a different landscape than it was just a second ago.
Yeah. Speaking of different landscapes, white is also the color of board wipes.
Unintentional, but intentional.
We did it.
Yay. We can yeah, white is the de facto color for board wipes. Wrath of God. Destroy all creatures. They can't be regenerated. 4 mana sometimes gets you like a 10 for 1.
Yeah.
This is just what white does in terms of, thematically, it's right. It's equalizing the battlefield. It is bringing a respite by destroying everything out there. And it's not just creatures. It does a lot. So there's like Angel of the Dire Hour, which is more specific about attacking creatures. And then you just have like really conditional board wipes, which I think is really cool. Battle of Bywater just came out. Fell the Mighty are basically like power this and more get exiled. And that's another way of equalizing the board. It's like White saying like, no, only these power creatures can exist. Elspeth, Sun's Champion.
Yep, does the same thing.
Super
kills the
nice.
big stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, the white board wipes that we have to mention are Austere Command and Farewell.
Oh gosh, farewell.
These are the 2 board wipes that I think white really, really uses the best, and it's because you get to pick and choose what you destroy. So you get
Or
to pick
exile in
or
Farewell's case.
exile in Farewell's case. Yeah, absolutely.
Is farewell the best board wipe ever?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's better than the black-white one.
Yeah, Farewell is amazing.
Yeah.
Akroma's Vengeance, only killing artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. So white really, there's nothing that white can't deal with pretty much when it comes to board wipes. I don't think it has a Planeswalker wipe, but...
No, I can't think of one that hits all planeswalkers. That would be the black-white one.
Yeah, that'd be the black-white one.
Planeswalkers, I
Yeah.
think.
But white can also just deal with artifacts and enchantments, which I think people overlook how important a wipe all enchantments card is.
Oh,
There's
yeah. I love
so
white.
many games can be won by someone just overloading the board with their enchantments, and so many games will be destroyed for them if you got rid of all of them.
Yeah, like Austere Command getting rid of big creatures and enchantments,
Oh,
or
man.
big creatures and artifacts. Somebody's like, okay, I'm out.
Yep, see you later.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, there's Paraceline, there's Cleansing Meditation, Dismantling Wave.
I love Dismantling Wave.
Yeah, me too. I love that card. And yes, white can deal with lands. Mm-hmm. Cataclysm, Armageddon. Cards you rarely see in Commander, I think, but just interesting to know and good to know that white has the ability should it decide to do so.
Yeah.
And the one white card that's been banned as well is Balance, right? That's like the most white thing. It's like, no, everyone on the same page, but not
it
so
is.
fun.
The essence of white is
Yeah.
everyone has the same.
I put a category in board wipes that's just called Yeah, That Too, which is like sometimes white can just do things that are like, wait, what? Like
Yep.
Hallowed Burial puts all the creatures on the bottom of each
like
library.
Terminus. It's just
yeah.
like,
see ya.
Gone.
Magus of the Tabernacle. Tabernacle of Pendrell Vale is a card you won't see, but Magus you can, and it basically gives a tax to every single creature that sacks them unless you pay 1 during each upkeep. Elish Norn, Grand Cenobite, just goes ahead and just takes care of things. That's just so happens. This is also kind of a board wipe.
Elish Norn is like a weaponized board wipe, which is exactly what white wants to do to win a game.
Yeah.
That's why it's so good.
Well, speaking of getting rid of stuff, what about the opposite?
White is also a great recursion color.
Bring it back.
We think about black when we think about the graveyard, but white is second best, and it's great at it, especially when it's bringing back small permanents. So Savin's Reclamation, Sun Titan are the 2 that we're most familiar with,
Yep.
and some of my favorite Magic cards, but they recently printed Sarah Paragon, which lets you play things from your graveyard.
Yeah, and Guardian Scale Lord, I saw this on your Twitter and instantly got a couple.
So good.
Yeah, you get just bring stuff back, which is amazing, and it has bad backup too. Oh, so good.
Love backup.
White also can just bring back conditional permanents. So Brought Back and Faith's Reward, Second Sunrise are like, hey, did things go to the graveyard this turn? Well, check it out. You can bring them back right now.
Yeah, Cosmic Intervention is my favorite of those effects.
Yeah. Open the Vaults is just bringing back all artifacts and enchantments from all graveyards. So it's equal, but usually this is like a win con in certain artifact enchantment decks.
This is an example of White being balanced. You know?
It's like, oh, yeah, it's cool. We're all bringing them back. I just have 15 more things I'm bringing back than you.
My favorite recursion in White is actual reanimation effects.
Yeah.
And Emiria Shepherd is probably the best of it. It has landfall. If it's a land, you bring something from the graveyard to your hand. And if
it's a plains,
it goes to the battlefield. And you can use that to reanimate other reanimators like Celestine the Living Saint, who reanimates based on life gain.
Life. Yeah, you played that on extra turns to great effect.
It's really sweet.
Karmic Guide. This is just early Magic was all about Karmic Guide infinite effects, right? Karmic Guide has just been a staple of the format for a long time, but you can see the chain already, right? Emiria Shepherd getting this, getting that, getting this, flicker this, get that.
Yeah,
it's all
and
coming
combining
back.
this kind of power with board wipes is where White is powerful, right? Where you can reanimate one thing and bring back another thing and bring back another thing and then wipe the board and then bring back that thing and bring back that same thing.
Right.
You can rebuild quickly.
Yeah. And if you don't want to rebuild, you could also protect. So Teferi's Protection has got to be the marquee White card of the past 5 or 6 years, I feel like.
For sure.
Outside of Farewell, probably. It is a card that has single-handedly won so many games, and it's just incredible. You just phase out. You're just out. Peace out. Teferi says, this realm don't exist, and then the rest of the game has to continue on, and you get to come right back. It's a lot. It feels to me a lot like Cyclonic Rift.
It's the ultimate protection piece, right? It protects your life total. It protects your board.
It protects you.
Yeah, it protects you just from general effects.
Yeah.
I think Teferi's Protection is the closest thing that White has to an extra turn spell.
Yeah.
And it's an instant. Which
for
is
3 mana.
For 3 mana.
That anyone can splash, because it's just 2 in the white.
But White is also, like, it's good at protecting you and your life total with things like Ghostly Prison or Sarah's Emissary. I think is one of the most powerful White cards they printed recently.
Yeah, Sarah's Emissary is nuts. And I'd much rather see a card like Sarah's Emissary with a bunch of white pips on it. I wish Teferi's Protection was like 1 white.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. There's also board protection. So you could board wipe and then play one of these to stop it from killing yourself.
At all.
Flawless Maneuver is the free spell cycle. It doesn't get as much talk as like the Deadly Rollicks and the Deflecting Swats, but it is very good, giving all of your creatures indestructible.
Free good. The new one, Clever Concealment, is one of my favorites. 2 white for an instant with Convoke. This one phases out any number of non-land permanents you control.
Yeah.
Any number. So you can be like, you're removing that? Cool. I'll phase out this, and those because I'm not using them.
Yeah.
Might as well protect them. I'll leave up some blockers.
Yeah, you have 4 creatures. You could also go board wipe, tap my creatures, phase it out, and then the board wipe happens, right? There's a lot you can do with Clever Concealment. It's clever.
It sure is.
There's also creatures that are going to sacrifice themselves for the good of the army, so Selfless Spirit, and then recently added in Boromir, Warden of the Tower.
It's so flavorful.
So flavorful. Just shunk.
Especially these permanent-based ones are great in White because you have Sun Titan and Savin's Reclamation to bring, and all of the recursion that we're talking about to bring them back to the battlefield so you can use them again.
Yeah.
Plus, White has turn protection. You can protect your actual space, and it's like a counterspell because no one can cast counterspell.
Yeah.
So this is Grand Abolisher type effects or silence.
Yeah, sneakily powerful, I will say. Every time that a Grand Abolisher gets cast and it goes to their turn, you're like, oh, wait, I needed to take action before, and now I have to wait till after. Oh, no, they can just do whatever they want.
Yep.
With impunity.
Yep. It's especially good in White when you're heavily invested in the board. You're like, haha, you have no tricks. None.
And there aren't
None
that many
tricks.
of this effect around, but if you'll see it in other colors like Dragonlord Dromoka, it's because it's got white in there. And it is just, again, a very powerful effect. And you'll find that these cards are actually usually priced higher because of just how impactful this effect is.
Yeah. Of course, we're talking about White. We've got to talk about token creation.
Oh, gosh, so many.
White is the best in the game, but it shares that with Green. Green makes plenty of tokens.
Sure.
Lately, Felidar Retreat is one of my every single White deck's cards.
Single card win con.
Yeah, it makes bodies. It buffs the board. It gives you a board when you don't have one and makes your board better when you do.
Yep.
Love Felidar Retreat.
Maybe the best creature White's had in a while is Adeline, Resplendent Cathar. Just whenever you attack, you get to create a 1/1 tapped for each opponent you make with 1/1. Yeah. But it could be any creature attacking, and Adeline just gets huge with vigilance as well.
Yeah,
Elspeth Sun's Champion, pumping out 3 1/1s. Big deal.
This card is ridiculous.
Yeah.
The board wipe, like you slam this, do a board wipe. Next turn, you have 3 bodies. You're like, how do you have a board already?
Yeah.
And that's what white does, is this quick recovery. Plus, there's a lot of like board in a box cards like Call the Coppercoats, which you just make a whole bunch of tokens out of nowhere on end step because it's an instant.
Yep.
Of course, it has Moandrag and Anointed Procession for doubling the tokens that you are making.
Yeah, so you might understand why white and green are buddies, right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of comparisons you can make there.
Yep.
Let's talk about keywords, because white's good at keywords too.
Yeah, I mean,
Which is an interesting thing to say. Keywords. How's that make sense?
specifically combat keywords. I guess there's a lot of keywords in Magic, but
Right.
these are like the achromas of the world that have flying, first strike, vigilance, trample, haste, protection from black and from red.
Yikes.
Basically, if it has more than 3 keywords, it's white. Or
a good
maybe
point.
green because they keep doing crazy stuff.
Yeah, they have
But-
questing beasts.
Yeah, questing beast. But like Angel of Invention, I think is one of the best just white cards.
Right.
Like you really understand what white does because it's a 5-mana angel with flying, vigilance, lifelink. Those are the whitest keywords. And Fabricate, which either does counters or tokens.
Yep.
Plus it's an anthem. It says other creatures you control get +1/+1.
And it's an angel, which is white's thing.
Yep.
You also got like Steel Seraph, which was a new card that you can prototype out, which is cool. And it's got a lot of similarities to ARCHIDEKT as well as Achroma's Will. ARCHIDEKT has always had this thing for him where he's like, hey, I got all these abilities. You can have them too, because this person has it and that one has it. Everyone, I'm the marshal. Let's go out and
For the
fly.
good of the team.
Yeah, exactly.
ARCHIDEKT.
And Achroma's Will is just give your creatures just a little bit of everything.
Yeah, Achroma's Will is one of the greatest boons to white in the last couple of years. It is such a clean win con for combat-based white decks.
Yeah, sometimes they'll knock you out in a single turn, like it happened to me. So sad.
This wasn't on my list initially, but the more I thought about it, the more I am sure that white is the second best tutoring
Outside
color.
of black?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tutors, for sure. And typically, these are seen as some of the most powerful cards in the game. They represent a duplicate of your best card. If you're going to get an artifact or enchantment, Enlightened Tutor, it's going to help you find your Anointed Procession. It's going to help you find a Soul Ring. Seen that happen plenty of times. Open the Armory. White's a lot about equipment. We'll talk a little bit about that later. Idyllic Tutor. Academy Rector, an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah.
And yeah, equipment tutors as well. No other colors can just find specific equipments. So Steel Shaper's Gift, Stoneforge Mystic, a repeatable one. Whew.
Yeah, Stoneforge Mystic has got to be the best of these effects, in my opinion, just because you can blink it. You can reanimate it. You can cheat other stuff into play.
Oh, we should mention Search for Glory. So this came out during Kaldheim, and it says, search your library for a snow permanent, a legendary card, or a saga card. I've never seen a card that just gets better with every single set than a card like Search for Glory.
This card's, it's 3 mana, which is a lot for, it's a lot for a tutor, but it searches for basically everything.
Yeah, you can, if you have snow lands in your deck, you can get a land. If you just want to find a legendary, boy, oh boy, not just creatures. There are so many legendaries now in Magic. Thanks to Dominaria, thanks to Lord of the Rings, right? Lots of things you can get here.
And this is the kind of card that it rewards you for good deck building. If you have a tutor like this, you want to make sure that you have good targets for this at any point.
Right.
You've got ramp, you've got card draw, you've got like board protection, you've got interaction that fits all of these qualities.
You can even find the saga from Lord of the Rings. I forget the name, but that goes and finds legendary cards.
There you go.
Too. It's a 3 and a white. Whatever.
You'll find it.
We'll throw it on the screen, and if you know it, you're shouting it into your car radio
Something
right
Alliance,
now.
War of the... All right.
Yeah, something War of the Last Alliance. There it is.
Hey! White also tutors for lands. Land tax and Archaeomancer's map go find basics, but Weathered Wayfarer goes to find anything.
Anyone, yeah.
And finally, white finds creatures, but specifically wee ones, with Ranger Captain of Eos and Recruiter of the Guard.
I think my favorite Recruiter of the Guard moment was when we played against CGB, and he was just finding 0/0 clones to make more Recruiter of the Guards to find more clones.
That he could blank, and I just got all of these.
Yeah,
it was very
that was
clever.
super
Great.
cool.
Go check out that extra turns game. It was the Cats one.
Cats meow. Okay, let's talk a little bit about protection again, but this time it's stalling. So how does white stall specifically?
There's a ton of ways that white does this. Tax effects are what we're most familiar with in Commander. I think Ghostly Prison, Smothering Tithe, Esper Sentinel.
Yeah.
But also Aura of Silence is a very powerful tax effect. That's like, basically says its artifacts and enchantments cost 2 more to cast, and you can sack it to blow 1 up.
Yeah.
It's also on a permanent, so you can recur it. It's really very strong in white.
This card is like, hey, everyone, change your game plan. Or Silence is here.
New plan, kill me. But it definitely says, like, hey, wait, I'm coming. Like, instead of ramping, white says, no, you have less.
You got to wait, because give me some time to catch up. I'm an endurance runner. I'm not Speedy Gonzalez or whatever, right?
White also has things come in tapped with like Blind Obedience or Thalia Heretic Cathar. Both of those just slow your opponents down for one turn, buy you a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Or one of the best stalling white cards in recent history is Archon of Emeria.
Yeah, each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. How fair. And non-basics enter the battlefield tapped under your opponent's control specifically. Boy, that feels like a time walk.
Ooh.
A curve, said bye-bye to that curve because you can't play that, you can't tap that land.
Yeah, and if you're running fetches, oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no, double tap.
Double tapped, rough. Let's talk about blinking. So blinking means removing a creature, having it re-enter the battlefield. White is the color for this. Ephemerate, rebound, and instant speed, you can do it twice. Teleportation circle is like the Thassa of the world. It does it every single end step. Eerie Interlude is also a way to protect your board and get all the stuff as well. Now, notably, if you have tokens, not so hot, and white's good at tokens, so there's a bit of a nombo there.
It's exile any number of targets. You don't have to blink your tokens, but it can't really save your tokens.
Yeah, exactly.
But in addition to all of this white blink power, it also has ETB doublers, especially recently with Elishnorn, Mother of Machines, and Daddy of Machines, Gandalf the White.
Daddy of Machines, yeah. Gandalf the White, Elishnorn's husband, I guess.
Both of them double ETBs for different kinds of permanents. Well, Elishnorn is all permanents. Gandalf is specifically legendaries and artifacts.
But boy, is that powerful.
Those two cards really say, this is how I'm building my deck. Yeah. All of my removal is ETB based, or all of my recursion is ETB based because I'm running blink spells and because I'm running Elishnorn or Gandalf.
All right, let's touch quickly back on equipment. We talked a little bit about earlier, but white, again, the equipment colors, Stoneforge Mystic, we'll tutor them out. SRAM Senior Edificer is like equipment card draw. Sigarda's Aid. This is the kind of card that says, we care about equipment, because this allows you to flash stuff in and equip it when it comes in as well. Cheating equip costs, no other color can really do that. Pure Steel Paladin also just gives you card draw and lets you equip for 0. You'll see that a bunch with sort of white-esque effects. There's another one that Forge Anew as well as another new classic from Lord of the Rings for white.
I really like Armored Sky Hunter as well. This is an attack trigger. You look at the top 6 cards of your library and you can put an aura or equipment card onto the battlefield. If it's an equipment, it auto attaches to something.
Yeah, that's
This
good.
is a house in equipment decks and it digs 6. So you don't even have to run that many equipment.
Yeah, that's pretty nuts.
Yeah. Okay. So those are the things that white is specifically good at. The things that white can be relied on to be powerful. And a lot of those can be taken advantage of, and a lot of those work together. But we also want to talk about the creature types that white supports best. Namely, angels and humans.
Angels and humans. It's kind of like this is their universe. Humans have angels. We don't need to go into the goblins, demonic things. It's just very simple. Humans and angels. Tale as old as time, right?
Yeah, most things that white cares about is like human.
Yeah, in the worldly realms.
Right. There's archons, which are basically humans that ride flying things. Catfolk, Loxodon, Kithkin, giants, unicorns, spirits, birds. A couple of those are not quite human-y.
Yeah, but I mean, it's sort of like human lore, right?
Yeah, giants, big humans, Kithkin, small humans.
Unicorns, fairy tales, yada, yada. Birds don't exist, by the way, I heard.
Oh, yeah, along with unicorns.
Yeah.
It also loves a clerica knight, a soldier, and a monk.
Sounds like Dungeons and Dragons.
But the interesting thing, I was looking at like the typal, generically typal cards that white supports, and there's like none. There's very, very few.
Oh, interesting.
I found Rally the Ranks, which is an anthem for creatures of your a creature type of your choice.
That you choose, right?
And a Warhammer card, and they shall know no fear,
which is an instant. You choose a creature type, so they don't just have blank creatures types. Get this.
Red has a ton of like for the number of things that you have that shares a type, then something happens. But white just doesn't.
White kind of has like that one in the white enchantment that gives your tokens vigilance and +1/+1.
Yeah, it cares about tokens specifically, but it doesn't really care about types.
Interesting.
So unless of course those types are angels and humans.
Yeah, it's easy to build a monocolored angel deck. You can pretty much probably do it for the cards in your binder right now.
Yeah, so that's what white does well. That's where white shines. We're going to talk about how to put that to good use, the pitfalls that you need to cover, and some cool secret white tech that you may not know about. But first, a few words from our sponsors.
Citizens of Dominaria, I am Liberator, Urza's Battlethopter. Prepare to be liberated from hunger. Factor is here to free you with delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals require a mere 2 minutes to prepare, leaving you liberated to enjoy the summer. Annoying trips to the grocery store? Liberated. Long cook times and cleanup? Liberated. Overpriced takeout and delivery? Liberated. They offer over 34 different delectable choices each week with options like keto and calorie smart to optimize your fuel intake. My favorite is the barbecue pork Sloppy Joe. It gives me the energy I need to liberate. In fact, liberating you has drained my energy. Preparing to receive Sloppy Joe. Yum. Yum. Delicious. Yum.
Head to factormeals.com/command50 and use code command50 to get 50% off your first box. That's code command50 at factormeals.com/command50 to get 50% off your first box.
So Jimmy, what's a game where no one wins?
A Stacks mirror match?
That's close, but no, I was looking for the waiting game.
What?
Well, when you're hiring, waiting for great talent to find you, that is just not a winning strategy. So I find them first with Indeed, the platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Why waste hours browsing multiple job sites when Indeed has powerful tools like Instant Match, which tutors for ideal candidates the moment you sponsor a post? Indeed's hiring platform just makes the whole process easy, helping you hire faster while only charging for applications that actually match your requirements.
So with Indeed, everyone wins.
Exactly, just like a Stacks mirror match. Oh, what? Stacks is fun.
I know for a fact you don't believe that.
Or do I? Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/CommandZone. Offer good for a limited time.
Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/CommandZone. Just go to Indeed.com/CommandZone and support the show by saying you heard about it on this podcast.
Again, that's Indeed.com/CommandZone. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. And then I'm going to flash out Illusory Ambusher. I will bolt it to draw 3 cards. I will sneak attack out Triskaidekaphile. I'm going to go to my upkeep, and I will win the game.
That was your first time playing the deck?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first time in paper. I've already goldfished it like 100 times on ARCHIDEKT. Their playtester is super user-friendly. Playing cards just takes 1 click, and you can mulligan, tutor, and move through your turns with the press of a key. There are simple menus with counters and copies, and you can take notes on cards as you play them.
ARCHIDEKT is the best place to browse, brew, and playtest commander decks. Just go to archidekt.com/CommandZone to get started.
That's ARCHIDEKT.com/CommandZone.
All right, welcome back, fellow loyal listener / viewer / friend. Let's continue our discussion of white here. And let's talk about things that white struggles with. Because it can't all be upside and gravy, right?
Yeah, we've talked about a lot of upsides and a lot of different upsides.
Someone listening might be like, white's the best color in Magic?
Is white gray?
No, it's not gray, it's white.
And you're like, two things that we haven't mentioned are ramp and card draw.
What are
which
those?
are sort of...
We have artifacts, right? We're good.
The biggest thing in Commander.
Yeah.
And historically, white has really, really struggled with with ramp and card draw. It is getting better. There is hope.
There is hope, but also part of the reason why white is so good at if white was good at these two, it may just become in contention for one of the strongest colors, right?
Exactly. They do have to maintain a balance in the force.
And also, they haven't designed specifically for Commander until recent years. Up until now, it's been more about 1v1, and white should not be ramping or drawing cards in a 1v1 format.
Because white's designed to be efficient. You shouldn't need ramp if you're casting like above raid 3/3s,
right.
You know?
So let's talk about white's explosiveness or lack thereof.
Yeah, so white does have some ramp these days. It can put an extra land into play every so often. It can catch up to your opponents if your opponents have surged ahead.
Very conditional, though.
But but what white doesn't have is that like burst of mana that a lot of colors can get. Black,
Dark Ritual,
red, green can ramp a ton of lands into play all at once, or use something like a Lotus Cobra.
Blue as well, High Tide, right? There are a
Yeah.
lot of different cards in every color that give you just a huge shot of mana.
Blue has a ton of mana reduction.
Right.
Which white just doesn't have. So white's ramp is very conditional. It's all catch-up ramp like a Loyal Warhound or a Knight of the White Orchid.
Deep Known Terramancer, Archaeomancer's map that we've mentioned earlier. All great cards, but in certain scenarios do absolutely nothing.
So what I like to, when I'm building mono white or a deck that relies on white a lot, I like to try and manipulate the number of lands I have by using bounce lands.
Oh,
so something
interesting.
like a Guildless Commons, or like I run Karoo, which is just a white bounce land in my mono white deck. Because I rely on catch-up ramp and I can return a land to my hand.
Get
I only
under
have-
the land total for someone else.
Then ramp.
Rachel, you're so good at this game.
See, there are ways to cheat in white. You just have to be tricky about it.
Yeah, you got to take one extra step through the hoop. There's recursive ramp as well. Sun Titan is able to grab fetch lands out of your graveyard. Savin's Reclamation, the Restoration of Aiganjo as well. These are all more recent printed cards. You can tell, well, not Sun Titan, but you can tell that Wizards is like, okay, how do we give white ramp without making it bust wide open?
Yeah, and this like bring 1 or 2 lands back from the battlefield thing is great. Savin's Reclamation getting 2 lands back ramps you.
yeah.
They come in untapped.
Yeah, on the second cast from the graveyard, right?
Yeah, if you cast it back from the graveyard. So you
Yeah.
pay 5 mana, you get 2 lands untapped, or 3 mana, you get 1 land untapped.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good rate, especially in a color that doesn't ramp very well. Plus, it does other things if you got plenty of mana.
And no matter what people say, path to exiling your own creature to get a land is not a good idea.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
Because you're losing a creature and a path to exile, and those are both really, really good.
Yeah, path to exile especially.
So to really take advantage of the recursive ramp, obviously you're running a ton of fetch lands.
Right.
You want lands in your graveyard to hit with your Sun Titans and your Savin's Reclamation, Restoration of Aiganjo. I even run Ash Barons in like 1 or 2 color decks.
Yeah, because you don't
white.
need the color. It's okay just
Yeah.
to have an Ash Barons in there.
It just throws a land in the bin that you can get later if you need it.
You can also be playing cards like Sword of Hearth and Home. So you need to be able to equip a creature to do this sort of thing. But because these artifact equipment are colorless, Sword of Hearth and Home allows you to flicker cards. So like your Weathered Wayfarers. Sword of the Animist just is a ramp spell in white, especially because you're going to have creatures to put it onto as well, right?
Yeah, and because white is specifically good with equipment, it's good at finding equipment, it's good at equipping equipment, it draws when you cast equipment. Leaning on equipment for ramp feels very white and is something that white is good at.
Yeah, and you're not going to feel like, ugh, I'm just jamming this in there for this effect. You actually have cross synergies with your deck.
Yeah. If I'm playing white, I'm definitely running a tutor for an equipment because it sort of patches up with some of the holes that white has. It finds you ramp, it finds you card draw, it finds like interaction.
So Open the Armory is your rampant growth in a way.
Basically.
Yeah.
It takes more mana. but it does get there in the end.
Endurance Runner, everyone. Endurance Runner.
Exactly.
And of course, we have to talk about white's absolute best ramp spell of all time. Still wondering if they should have printed it. It's Smothering Tide. So anytime someone draws a card, if they don't pay 2 mana, you get to make a treasure token.
Yeah. So Smothering Tide is so special in white because white does not have anything that makes this much mana this fast.
Not even close to
it. It is white at its most explosive.
Yeah.
And obviously you can combine it with a wheel and make a ton. You can't really do that in white, but you know. But even white on its own just can't make as much treasure as Smothering Tide does on its own. So that is why Smothering Tide is so expensive.
Yeah, and so very good.
Yeah.
All right, so that covers white's inability.
I do want to mention Legion's Landing. I know. Because Legion's Landing is ramp.
This is a legendary enchantment. What are you talking about, Rachel?
It is a single white. It comes in and makes a vampire. And if you attack with 3 or more creatures, which white wants to do, you transform Legion's Landing into a land.
A Danto, the first fort.
So Legion's Landing basically says, if you attack with 3 creatures, go get a land.
Yeah.
And it's a good land. It makes more creatures, which white also loves. So Legion's Landing is ramp. You should run it as ramp if you're attacking.
Yeah.
Do it.
Treasure map, I guess, kind of counts too, huh?
Yeah. I think so. I mean, it's slow, but it makes the treasures when it flips.
It's everything is slow.
Endurance runner.
Endurance
runner.
Okay, let's talk about the other primary category of deck building, which is card advantage, card draw, or I guess card selection if we have to get specific with white here.
Yeah, I mean, white is actually pretty okay at card draw. It has no card selection. It has none. Like, I looked up the number of white cards that have scry on it. Just the word scry.
How many?
30.
Oh, boy. And most of them are other colors,
yeah,
too,
they're
right?
like 4-mana removal spells that are common that scry 1 also for some reason. Like, they're not playable cards.
Or it's white-blue or something else, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's, okay, so white does not select cards. It does draw.
And it's doing so better and better than ever before.
And it's just limited to you once per turn.
Right. Mangara the Diplomat allows you to draw on its person's second spell.
Always good.
Esper Sentinel, the first trigger of a non-creature. If they don't pay that cost, which is Esper Sentinel's power, you get a draw card.
Also good.
Archivist of Ogma. Whenever an opponent searches their library, you gain a life and draw a card. You would think this is amazing, but this often doesn't do anything.
I'm really frustrated with this card. I wish it was great.
It is still pretty good, though, in terms of what white can do when it comes to card draw. At least it will just unconditionally draw you a card sometimes.
Yep. Speaking of unconditionally drawing you cards, Ariel, Extortionist, which I mentioned before, but does draw cards whenever your opponents cast spells off the top of their library, or from exile, or from the command zone, or from their graveyard.
That's right. Command zone gets affected by Ariel,
It's really
Extortionist.
good, you guys.
Cardkingdom.com/command.
Yeah.
All right.
The other way that white has been drawing cards lately is when creatures enter the battlefield. If they're little, you get to draw, but only once.
Yeah.
Welcoming Vampire and Takacia's Welcome both do this. And then Rumor Gatherer is...
Hey, it's got scry.
It's got scry!
Oh, boy.
It's the best scry on white. Rumor Gatherer has land, basically, creature fall, scry, but the second time you get to draw a card as well.
Yep. But that's it. You don't get to keep drawing cards if you put
No.
creatures
It's
down.
scry, draw, scry.
Now, one thing white can do in terms of drawing a lot of cards is allowing everyone to draw cards. So Cut a Deal, or Your Temple is Under Attack, or Lauren of the Third Path are all like you and someone else, or you and other people draw cards together.
Notably, I don't love these.
No, why would you? You're wasting one, right? Your opponents don't have to spend a single card to draw the card. You did,
free.
So
You
you're
spend-
already down a card by doing so.
Yeah, like Cut a Deal sounds good. It's each opponent draws a card. So you draw, and I draw 3 cards.
Ooh.
3 cards for 3 mana.
Ooh.
But your opponents have also drawn 3 cards collectively, and you're the one that paid for it.
Yeah, I think you just don't want to do it, right? If you're forced to, then yeah, you could go about doing it, but it doesn't feel great.
You just don't have to in white anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
You just don't have to.
You got your Esper Sentinels, you got all sorts of other ways.
So, like, you just run Rumor Gatherer.
Yeah.
You run Welcoming Vampire. These are $1. They're $2. They draw just as many cards, and they don't force your opponents.
And there's equipment that lets you draw. Hooray! Skull Clamp, reprinted in almost every single pre-con set. And you're going to have a lot of 1/1s in white.
Yep.
Or X1s, right?
Easy to tutor for. Plus, Mask of Memory is one of my favorite card draw in white. 2 mana to cast, 1 mana to equip. When it deals combat damage, draw 2, pitch 1.
Yeah.
Fills up your graveyard for your Sun Titan later, puts 2 cards into your hand.
And don't forget, white is doing all that card advantage by tutoring stuff up, right? You're getting the equipments, you're getting your artifacts and enchantments. That is a way, that's not advantage, but it is card getting.
You're getting them.
It's redundancy.
You're getting
in a
the
way.
right ones. That's the thing
Exactly.
about white is you don't get 5 cards. You get the one right one.
Yeah, bingo.
If you're smart. And then you're getting the one wrong one.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention it very briefly. White uses its graveyard very, very well.
Yeah.
It's great in graveyard decks. It doesn't do a very good job of building a graveyard.
Oh, it doesn't mill, right?
White has no self-mill at all, and artifacts are quite bad at it also.
Right.
So in a white deck, you really have to rely on like things that sacrifice themselves, fetch lands, or the lands that we mentioned before,
Yeah.
selfless spirits, things that sack for value, and then you can recur them later because you're not going to really be able to mill unless you have the Mask of Memory, which I just mentioned.
Or Codex Shredder.
Codex Shredder, it's very slow.
It's slow. Hey, everything is with white.
Yeah, it's too slow. The
and
card's
then-
too bad.
Palantir of Orthanc is
This
a new
one's
one.
great.
Yeah, you get a scry basically every single end step, and then if the opponent doesn't have you draw the card, you mill those cards.
We'll
And then
take
they
those.
lose a lot of life too. It's kind of sweet.
Yeah, Palantir of Orthanc I think is quite good in white graveyard decks.
Yeah, in
I
fact,
need
this
a
is like
few
a
more
card that I
copies.
actually find myself putting in almost all of my decks that
really
care
good.
about the graveyard. Yeah.
I think it's quite good.
Yeah.
Okay, White is also quite bad at stack interaction.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
sort of limited to blue and red. White is sort of like either I have Teferi's protection or I don't.
Yeah, I ain't countering stuff, really.
Yeah,
there are a couple
you
of
can
ways,
try.
though. Yeah. So Reprieve, brand new card that returns a spell to its owner's hand and you draw a card. So it's not a counter. It's closer to mana, was it? There's a
tempo play.
A tempo play, yeah. There's a
Bounce.
blue card that bounces the spell. Yeah, but it's any spell.
Remand.
Yeah, Remand. But it's really cool. You can bounce any spell, and sometimes that is enough when someone goes 8 mana Crater Hoof. You're like, nah, see you later. And you're in mono white, they're like, wait a second.
Yeah, you can Crater Hoof next turn. And
Yeah.
you're like, I don't want a Crater Hoof.
Everyone who's got Crater Hoof, kill him.
Yeah, exactly.
There's also Lapse of Certainty, which is really cool. White, it just is a counter spell, but it puts it on top of their deck.
Yeah. And Teferi's protection is like, you did something scary? Peace.
Yeah, see ya.
The closest thing that white has to counter spells instead of that is like an Angel's Grace, which is like, if I was going to die, I don't.
You don't
I go
die.
to 1 life.
Right.
Or board protection, which we have mentioned before.
Yeah, clever concealment, all that good stuff.
Okay. There is one more thing I want to mention that white is bad at, and that's winning the game.
We call that comedic timing, everybody.
Hey, white is so good at not dying.
Yeah, that does not dying is not winning.
It can gain life. It can recur stuff from the graveyard. It can protect itself. It can be tricksy, but it has to sort of just hit you with flyers and hope that's enough.
Right.
Unless you're relying on, obviously, there's lots of infinite combos and artifacts. But
Sure.
in white.
So you're not very good at just what you put reach here.
Yeah, reach, like getting that last bit of damage in. Like white can do chip damage all day, but getting to 40 is a lot. And there's only one Akroma's Will. Akroma's Will, of course, very, very powerful. It's a great win con for white, but if that gets milled, you're like, okay, I have no win con.
Or you blow it killing someone early, you have a bunch of life, and then in 2 big swings, you're back down to where you were.
Yeah, so you really need like anthem effects, big ones like Akroma Vision of Ixidor.
Yeah.
Will buff your creatures for each keyword they have if you're leaning on that.
True Conviction, just giving everything double strike and lifelink. And oftentimes it's like, can't swing with my 1/1s anymore, so I got to hit you with these 4/4 angels, 2/2 angels, whatever, right? Birds.
Cathar's Crusade is one of the best anthem effects in white and also the hardest to manage. I cannot wait for them to print a better white win con
I take
in white.
this out of my decks because I
than
don't
Cathar's
have enough
Crusade.
dice, man.
Such a nightmare, especially with all the tokens white makes.
Yeah.
It's just awful. And if white can do that, then white can have a big anthem. Wizards, please.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't make us deal with Cathar's Crusade anymore.
Yeah, but sometimes giving all your creatures flying is enough, so that's why ARCHIDEKT can work with white. But it's conditional, right? You have to have, one, enough power to kill people and enough creatures to do so, and an ARCHIDEKT, and, right, like, there's a lot of different things that have to get satisfied in order for white to really push through for that win.
Right. Or the best way for that white wins a game is just sneak out one more turn.
Right.
With Teferi's Protection.
Teferi's Protection, yeah.
It's just like, oh man, I got them to 12. Like, and I can do the damage. I just have to get there.
Yep.
And that's Teferi's Protection.
Yeah, because white puts it all out on the board too, right? Because if you swing and you don't have protection and you are in a winning position, a board wipe can really set you back.
Yeah.
And you may not always have that clever concealment. So you're really showing everyone what you're trying to do in a very fair and balanced way. You're not like holding up a secret combo or whatever, right?
Yeah, it's got flash, but there's like, with a short of like Call the Coppercoats or the Instant Speed Warrior one, it's really hard to make a board that surprises people, especially a lethal board. Like those just make 1/1s. What are you supposed to do with those?
Yeah.
Unless you have a Cathar Crusade or something like that.
Yep,
so it is tough to close a game out in white still. We've given you the best options. Honestly, in my mono white deck, that's quite strong. Just Akroma is one of the win cons. It's just hitting you for like 7 in the air
and over again,
and hoping that's
there.
enough.
Yeah.
And eventually it is.
Because every time I have lost to a mono white deck or yours specifically, it's always like, well, it was a very fair game.
Yeah.
It
And everyone was very reasonable.
Very reasonable, and I died just to creatures hitting me a bunch of times, and that's just how it goes sometimes. It's not like, and then out of nowhere, they generated 80 mana, Dockside Extortionist, they recurred this thing 70 times, and it's like, no, they hit me in the face, and
like,
that's how I did it.
Rachel was the problem for about 7 turns, and we never figured it out. And that's how white wins.
We tried, but then she kept just repeatedly removing some stuff, and board white, goodness.
White will break your spirit.
Yeah, there you go. It's
Okay.
got a lot of spirits too. Okay. A new section we added to these is called Powerful Pie Breaks.
These tend to be really powerful cards in Commander because they allow a color to do something that it's not typically supposed to do.
Yeah.
So like Chaos Warp is famously a pie break. But let's talk about the white ones.
Yeah, so we just mentioned Reprieve. It may not be a white color break, but it's definitely something that makes people go, wait, what? White can do that?
Yeah, they're bends in ways that they like subvert expectations of what the color is.
Yeah,
so
and
Reprieve or Lapse of Certainty, which we mentioned.
These are like the best gotcha cards, is another way of putting it.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is Debt of Loyalty. So it's 1 white for an instant, regenerate target creature, so creature needs to die, and then you gain control of that creature.
Just gain control.
White stealing creatures.
Yoink. That's
wild.
mine. White does have a couple other ways to steal creatures, which was cracking me up. I run Preacher in a deck.
Oh, yeah.
I love this card. It's 1 white for a human cleric. You may choose not to untap Preacher during your untap step, and it has an activated ability that says tap, gain control of target creature of an opponent's choice that he or she controls as long as Preacher remains tapped.
So if they only have one creature, they got to give it to you.
You're like, mine.
Yeah.
I proselytized to him. I
Yep.
won him.
There's also Evangelize, 4 white with a buyback of 2 white, which is gain control of target creature and opponent's choice that he or she controls. Same thing as
Same
Preacher.
as Preacher, but on a sorcery with buyback if you have 9
mana,
in
just start
white.
stealing things? Okay.
It's pretty fun.
Stranger things have happened.
My favorite white pie break is Suture Priest. 1 white for a Phyrexian cleric. Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may gain 1 life.
That's a
Sounds
normal
very
white
white.
thing, yeah.
Whenever a creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control, you may have that player lose 1 life.
Whoa.
Oh, white doesn't usually do that.
No, it's Phyrexian though, right?
Yeah, so it's just draining you of
Yeah.
your will and humanity.
And then this is a fun one, Fanatical Devotion. So you can sack a creature on a white enchantment. That just doesn't happen. And you can regenerate target creature.
So the flavor here is great. It's like one man giving his life for another.
Yeah.
Is like I'm just a lackey, just a soldier, and I will save you, my leader. And so it feels very white, but you look at it and you're like, white doesn't really regenerate or sacrifice.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a very powerful sack outlet, and it's great board protection.
Okay, let's talk about white now and how it relates to other colors, because not everyone out there is going to be building a mono white deck after this, but they may think about, oh, you know what? I do want to have a Naya deck because I can have white as a support color. So if white is your mono color, then we've just talked about it. Slow to ramp. It's permanent based. You're doing things. Everyone can see what's happening. And you got to build to win this long-term race. So
Right. You have to build with a ton of synergy. You have to make sure you have more card draw than you think you'll need. You have to make sure that, like, if you're running blink spells, all of your creatures benefit from blink spells. It has to be tight.
but
But
you've got catch up ramp as well. Are you gonna do the cool bounce
run
land
those
trick?
bounce lands.
Yeah.
This is interesting because I think as a monocolor, white's actually quite strong. I think white is a better monocolor build than mono red and mono blue.
Stop it.
I know. It's not the best
Controversial.
color. It certainly isn't, but it has enough that it's very good at and that works really well together that I think white is probably the third best in the monocolor.
Maybe it gives you more flexibility, because when I build mono red, it always feels very one-sided. It's like I'm trying to do this thing with my Neheb the Eternal deck, with my Kiki Jiki deck. It isn't like, check this out, I'm doing this over here, I'm moving this over here, I'm doing this thing,
The thing that I found with red, because I built a couple of mono red decks, is that it can be very fast and it can be very powerful. And if there's a board wipe, you're done. You are out of cards. You cannot get your stuff back from the graveyard. You cannot draw, like, you are done.
Right.
You have 2 cards in your hand. And white can rebuild from that. Whereas, like, it just has more of the stuff that you want that at a medium floor than something like even blue, which is really good at drawing cards and really good at, like, interacting, but really struggles with closing the game.
Right. Okay, so let's talk about white as a support color then. If it's the second of 2 colors, how do you shore up white's weaknesses with the other color's strength? And a lot of times this is just printed right on the card. So if you're playing red and you are Boros, guess what? Now you've got the explosiveness and the haste to close out the game more quickly than someone may have imagined that you could have, right?
And white's board protection that red doesn't have.
Right. How about blue?
If you're playing blue, white gives you the punching power that you need. It gives you that, like,
Angels,
actual threat
flyers,
in the sky. It'll turn all of those blue, like, little flyers that it makes into actual threats.
Yeah, and your blue's got your card advantage covered in that case.
Yeah.
So you don't need to think so much about your welcoming vampires or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How about green, black, and red? How do they help out with white?
I mean, I think white does a lot for your graveyard strategy in green, but green is going to give you a lot more card advantage and the ramp that you're looking for.
And ramp, yeah.
And your win con. But white gives you the stability and the protection and the resilience that some colors don't have on their own.
Yeah, for black, it's all about the control element. White-black has just the best removal in the game in terms of its flexibility and the different types, as well as like your ink shields and stuff as well.
White also gives you the life gain that you need to really, really make black work.
Right, because otherwise you could be just killing yourself with black, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and that's, again, the aristocrats' colors, right?
Drain and gain, baby.
And we already talked about red. So let's talk about white as a tertiary color. So in your Nayas, in your Bants, when it's the third, or fourth, or even fifth color, how are you going to really rely on white to give you the best bang for your buck here?
You're making sure that you're using white for what it's really good at. You're leaning on white for its removal or for its protection. You're using white to buff all of your tokens or something, or just make a ton of tokens all at once.
Right. With Secure the Waste, X and the White, very splashable in a lot of different decks.
And even Call the Coppercoats is like one white or two white.
Yeah, and then, of course, there is your Smothering Tithe.
Yeah.
What are you splashing white for? Smothering Tithe?
Smothering Tithe, my ramp.
My ramp, yeah. Not like this.
Just make sure you're using white for the things that it's good at. Like running like Takacia's Welcome in a deck that has blue is a little silly because blue just draws better.
Find other ways of drawing, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I also think that white, if white's your third or fourth color and you have a bunch of cards that are like white, or white in the casting cost, you're really hurting yourself there. And that's probably not best utilizing white's abilities with the other colors paired up. Because I think sometimes it's like red, sure, I'll run red colors in a 3-color deck because it's like a card that just kills everything or has a very specific effect that I want. But for white, it feels like a lot of the cards require other things to help them. Like you're not playing a Weathered Wayfinder in a deck. Wayfarer in a 3-color deck with white in it, right?
Yeah, I mean,
especially if you have green or any of the other colors that can.
Yeah, it only works if you have less lands than other people. Yeah. So it's gotta make sure that you're know what your deck is doing and that you're taking advantage of it. Okay. Because there are things that white is good at. You can win with white. Your opponents will just be frustrated with you.
Or they'll go, gosh, white is the strongest color ever.
So I couldn't. It's like a vice grip.
It. Yeah.
So the way that white wins is its inevitability.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
It's that it's just can grind you out.
Yeah.
And so like that's the way that I play white. That's the way that I've been most successful at white, is making sure I can recur my threats, making sure I can recur my removal,
protect your board,
making sure protect my board. I can cast a board wipe and protect my board. Mm-hmm. You have to be able to have these cards work together to make white successful. You have to take advantage of white's evasion.
Yeah,
flying is still so powerful. The amount of the times that I'm at a table and I'm like, does anybody have any flyers? And people are still like, no.
Nope. That's why I love my Dragons deck. Yeah. It's just guaranteed to get in some damage somewhere.
You're just going to hit somebody. You have to do that chip damage because getting that damage in early is when white is strongest.
Yeah. You're outlasting your opponents, right? Because you're hitting them in the air a lot of times with Vigilance and stuff, as you have great attackers and blockers, and you're gaining life. So even if everyone does team up on you, you're still managing to stay ahead of the life curve.
Yeah, I think this like vice grip metaphor is very clear. You need a slow and steady buildup of pressure that your opponents don't really recognize in the beginning,
right?
Until it's too late. You know, it's when the trash compactor doors are really close together.
They're like, hey,
hey, is it getting smaller in here?
You guys feeling that? Yeah,
small,
hard to breathe.
So white is slow. It can really, if you stumble early, you're gonna have trouble. So you need to make sure you have these tutors to smooth out the process. You need to make sure that you're generating value early, that you're not the threat before you can protect yourself.
Hit those land drops. Very important.
It's important that you're patient in white, that you're only spending cards when they're going to be their best, when you're only spending cards when you need to. Like if you're holding up mana for a removal spell and a threat doesn't produce itself, don't cast it.
Yeah.
You're going to buy more turns. But what you can't do is buy cards back. You can't buy
instances
board
of
back.
Yeah.
Like,
you can rebuild it in other ways, but that's a great point. Don't just like waste an early removal spell, especially if you know that you're the one at the table that has that ability.
Or don't waste a protection spell even. Like
Mm-hmm.
if you have a flawless maneuver and it's going to get a couple of things and you're like, you know what, I can probably rebuild from this.
Yeah.
Don't spend it.
I'm at 70 life or whatever.
Yeah, wait until you need that flawless maneuver to close the game out.
Yeah.
Because that's when it's going to be a winning card.
Yeah.
White can rebuild like early, but if you have the board, you need to protect the board.
Yeah, especially if you've got a lot of recurring removal on a creature that
Right.
is, you want to flicker or whatever. At that point, it's like, yeah, these are my combo pieces. I can't afford to lose them, so I should protect it.
Yeah. And like we've mentioned a couple of times before, use that permanent based removal, generate value, make sure that every card you're squeezing all of the juice out of every single.
All of the juice. Okay, let's
Yeah.
talk about some gold cards. So
Gold juice.
Just some fun cards, because it's, oh my gosh. Told Juice about that.
We talked a lot about white cards. We're going to talk about the combining white with other colors and what white does when it's added with the other colors in the color pie.
Yep. So we'll start off with Orzhov, so black and white. Damn, just a great board wipe. It's a removal
so
spell on one
solid.
side and a board wipe on the other with its
And
overload
it says
cost.
exactly what black does. Like black can kill one creature and white can kill all the
of the creatures,
creatures.
yeah.
And that combination feels very Orzhov.
Yeah, and Elenda the Duskrows, right? Pump out a bunch of 1/1s, have a bunch of lifelink, and it cares about a dies trigger, so that's the black side of it, right?
But it makes all those tokens, which is likely the white side, plus the lifelink on the vampires goes a long way.
Yeah, same.
Vampires is what happens when black and white combine,
Right,
basically.
that's the point. It's a human that's been corrupted.
Oh
my goodness. Actually, vampires aren't necessarily corrupted. Whatever.
It's fine. It's fine.
And that's the same with like Ink Shield as well, which is a fog and making tokens.
Yeah, Ink Shield is interesting because it was like I don't really know where the fog belongs and I don't really know where the tokens belong. It's like a little bit more ambiguous.
It's a little bit more ambiguous.
Like preventing the damage is white, but also
yeah.
the tokens are white.
It's a very school thing. I'm just going to blame Strixhaven.
Yeah.
And then all the removal in black-white. D-Spark is an amazing one.
Yeah. You get the exile from white and the efficiency of black.
Yeah.
And they can hit anything and they're going to exile it. They're awesome.
All right, green-white Selesnya. We have a lot of interesting variations here.
Yeah. The most obvious is the first one.
Yeah, Mirari's Wake.
Mirari's Wake, yeah. Because we play Mirari's Wake for the mana doubling, which
Yep.
is the green. And we
And
forget about the anthem on it, which is the
+1 to
white.
creatures, yeah. It's a good point. Very efficient. Card's been around forever. Cube staple. Great in just so many different decks. But then green-white also cares about equipment. So Miri, Weatherlight Duelist.
This isn't the equipment one. It's like when it...
Oh, it's the attacking one.
Yeah, so whenever Miri Weatherlight Duelist it attacks, each opponent can't block more than one creature that combat. So I feel like this is the green side, and then as long as Miri Weatherlight Duelist is tapped, no more than one creature can attack you each combat.
Yeah.
So it's that combination of attack and defense. It's
Right.
playing with the aggressive and the defensive when you have green and white together.
This next one's a house. It's just Sharn Implacable Earth. When it enters the ETBs, you find a forest and a plains, put them into your hand and shuffle your library. So that's kind of the green side. And then players can't pay life or sacrifice non-land permanents to cast spells or activate abilities. That's the white side.
That's the white side. It's the fun side.
The fun side. Yeah, fun-sized, fun side.
I also want to talk about Sterling Grove because green and white is the Enchantress color,
Yeah.
and this is the most iconic, I guess, Enchantress color in green and white. Its other enchantments you control have Shroud.
So that's the white side.
I believe that's the green side.
Oh, that's right, because there is another... Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And the other part is 1 and sacrifice Sterling Grove, search your library for an enchantment, reveal it, then shuffle and put that card on top.
That's the white
That's the white side. Green can't really search for anything other than creatures. So
right.
this protection can, and especially Shroud, is very green.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, there's the creature one, asceticism.
Yeah.
All right, the Zorius time, Council of 4. Oh boy. Whenever player draws their second card, you draw a card.
That's the blue.
That's the blue. Whenever player casts their second spell during their turn, you make a 2/2 white knight creature token.
That's the white.
That's the white, yeah.
But also the fact that it's like only triggers once per turn. It's very fair. It's very judgmental. I think Council of 4 has a very clear flavor. I like it a lot.
Yeah. Disorder in the court. X, white,
super
blue.
fun.
Exile X target creatures, then investigate X times, and then the creatures return into the battlefield tapped under their owner control at the beginning of the next end step.
So it's blinking. It's blinking and clues. The blink could be either white or blue, but probably just white for blinking your whole board.
Yeah.
And then the clues come from blue.
Also, you can blink other people's stuff with this. It's pretty cool.
I also think it's funny that this is disorder in the court. It feels like it should have red if it's disorder. Like white and blue is very like, it's the court.
It's the court. But red wouldn't even be in court.
I know. That's the thing, because they don't show up to court.
Yeah. How about this one? Midnight Pathlighter, 2 white, blue. Creatures you control can't be blocked except by legendary creatures.
Blue?
Yeah. Whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, venture into the dungeon.
White loves an adventure.
That's true.
Although it doesn't like a combat damage, so...
No. But you are attacking in general with white, so...
Yeah, but it also gives you this like pseudo protection from piddling creatures that white could also be.
I should also have mentioned Dance of the Mance. Very much a
Dance in
white.
the Pants.
Dance of the Pants, yeah. It brings back a bunch of stuff. Yeah, very powerful.
That's definitely white. Well, the white side is the enchantments. The blue side is
the artifacts. Yeah. All right, now let's talk about Boros. Not boring at all. Iroas, God of Victory. Red, white, 2 red, white, indestructible as long as your devotion, blah, blah, blah. Creatures you control have menace.
Red. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to attacking creatures you control.
White.
This one's a new one. It's Nayali, Sun's Vanguard. 2 red, white for a human rebel. Attacking tokens you control have double strike. That's the white side. Whenever one or more tokens you control attack a player, exile the top card of your library. During any turn you've attacked with a token, you can play that card. Red. A card advantage plus some threat. I love that card.
How about Aurelia's Fury? X red white deals X damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or players.
Red.
Tap. Each creature dealt damage this way. Players dealt damage this way can't play non-creature spells this turn.
This card is such a house, and nobody plays it anymore.
Yeah, you could just...
You could just deal 1/1, protect your whole turn.
Yeah, protect your whole turn.
For 5 mana.
It's a Boros...
Silence
/ Defense Protection
/ removal spell.
We're reaching.
I think it's cool. It's expensive though.
Yeah, but that's white, everybody, and how to play it. There's nothing else to be said about the topic, which is why we don't have it to the listeners. Where white mages out there, tell us what you know about white. What's your favorite part about playing white? Do we miss any of the pitfalls? Do we over exaggerate any of the upsides? No.
I think we nailed it. Did we under-exaggerate any of the downsides?
Oh, no. I think we nailed it.
And what's your favorite white tech to shore up those weaknesses and pilot your white decks to victory?
Yeah, the comment section in these videos is always so great because there's a lot of great discussion, cards being mentioned, and there's just a lot to learn from there as well. I love the commenters on our videos. Y'all are a great bunch.
Yeah.
And speaking of
a great bunch?
A great bunch? A great bunch of cards, a great bunch of companies. One company in specific, Card Kingdom, part of Mox Boarding House, of course, so there are a bunch of companies. But cardkingdom.com/command, we just talked about 1,000 cards this episode.
So many cards. So many white cards.
Probably heard something and went, I do need that. Well, if you do need that and you want to build a deck or you just want to get some single sealed product or more, head on over to cardkingdom.com/command, support the show, and also just get the cards you need in one convenient package. They've got a great inventory. We love Card Kingdom. And look, you're going to get Magic cards anyway. You could support the show while doing so and head on over to cardkingdom.com/command. They've got so many great tools as well on the website for building decks and all sorts of other fun stuff. So check it all out and get the cards you need right now at cardkingdom.com/command.
And once you have those cards in your hand, you're going to need to protect them, to store them, to organize them. Go to ultrapro.com/command for the highest quality Magic accessories in the business. They make my favorite deck boxes, which are the satin cubes. I like those. They feel sturdy. They feel safe when I'm traveling.
Yes.
And I always know that like they're not going to get dinged and they will fit my double-sleeved cards, which is a huge boon.
Double-sleeved card.
Plus, they have the official licensed art for Magic products. So if there's a card that you love, if there's a commander you love, Ultra Pro may have the exact art you're looking for. Go to ultrapro.com/command to support your cards and also the show.
Okay, let's go to the end step, Rachel. We're talking about something cool outside the world of Magic. I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Barbie or Oppenheimer? They're both coming out the same day.
Oh, well, which one am I going to go see?
Yeah, I want to see both, by the way. So, but if you had to choose one or the other to go see first, what's on your chopping block?
I want to see Barbie first, and here's why. Because there's no spoilers for Oppenheimer.
Right.
Like, we know what happens.
Yeah, I am death, destroyer of worlds.
Yeah.
We definitely know what happens in Oppenheimer for sure.
I'm super excited to see Barbie. It looks very funny, and it looks like the people had a crazy time on set making this movie happen. So
yeah, I think I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I love Margot Robbie too. Just great actor.
So good.
Ryan Gosling, incredible actor. Our boy Simu Liu is in it as well. So
that's cool.
Yeah, a lot of fun stuff there.
Yeah, I mean, Oppenheimer looks wild. It's going to be one of those that you have to see in the theater.
Yes, I would say if you're going to see Oppenheimer, try and see it on a big screen for the full Nolan effect. Be prepared to understand zero of the dialogue as the music overrides everything.
So you see it in theater and you're like, whoa!
Whoa! What happened?
You watch it at home with the subtitles on.
Yeah, later on, you're like, oh, that's what they said? Oh, I get it.
We were talking about how Oppenheimer is sort of the most dramatic of all of the business dramas that have come out recently.
Interesting.
Like, it's like the Hot Cheetos movie, except for it's this
It's the making of the nuclear bomb.
It's the making of the nuclear bomb, yeah.
Yeah, casual. Nothing
totally
terrifying about that.
Yikes.
All right.
Fine. The world doesn't blow up.
No.
You guys?
Yeah, yet. All right, cleanup set. Big thanks to our amazing team here at the Command Zone. Oh, just cast Clever Concealment. You're fine from any nukes, right?
Yeah.
All right, our team here is Damon Lenz, Eric Lem, Megan Yip, Gaurav Galati, Jordan Pridgen, Jamie Block, Arthur Meadowcroft, Manson Lung, Josh Murphy, Jake Bosch, Sam Waldo, Evan Limburger, Lady Danger, Craig Blanchett, Mitch Trafford, Gabriel Pozos, and how's it? It's Josh Lee Kwai.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
And we'll see you next time. Nice.
Thank you for your attention. For further inquiries, send an email to commandcast@rocketjump.com or ask us on Twitter @JFWong and @JoshLeeQuai. See you later, alligator.
Greetings, humans.